Another WarFrame video. What is this, 2 for Tuesday? So the latest update for WarFrame is called Jade Shadows, and it brings along a new WarFrame called Jade. Obviously, we're here with Jade in the Red Veil Simulacrum, which is another new simulacrum that I have. There is one more that I have in particular, and then there's 3 that I don't have because, you know, syndicate memes. But anyway, we're talking about Jade. So, apparently, Jade was called a, what do you call it? A support WarFrame. And I think anyone who's played Jade knows, by no stretch of the imagination is she a support WarFrame, but at the same time, she is very much a support WarFrame. She does a lot of damage, but on top of that, she has abilities that allow her to do a lot of damage. Like so. So what are those abilities that she uses to do a lot of damage? Well, her first ability, and also her gun, inflict enemies with something called Judgment. Now, when enemies have Judgment on them, they take a lot more damage. It's, I think, 50% or 75% thereabouts. And you know what that sounds like? Sounds like a viral proc to me. So Jade basically has 3 viral procs that work on top of viral procs because they are, in fact, different things. So that's really nice. On top of that, her second ability is a cycle of various buffs. So one of them is a power strength buff that increases based on the amount of power strength she already has. Another one is a weapon damage bonus buff, which you could potentially use in lieu of something like Hornet Strike on her weapon in particular if you want. Probably wouldn't recommend it in the long run because I did some napkin math. You're probably going to lose out on damage if you decide to replace your Hornet Strike with something like, I don't know, additional fire rate, for example. But you may be able to make use of it anyway because it is effectively a base damage increase, so that's really, really nice. And then on top of that, her third buff that she can cycle into is actually a shield regeneration buff, which is actually kind of nice. It's probably a really nice buff to have right at the start of a mission. Give you and your allies some extra shields. Why not? So there's that, right? I'm not 100% sure if it affects other things. Citation required. And then, of course, her third ability is Defensive Strip. Shield Strip, I think, and Armor Strip in particular. Now, I have checked. This thing snapshots, so anyone who's played Genshin before may know how Shangling works, and you know how, like, she snapshots buffs. Jade's third ability snapshots buff, so what you want to do at the start, if you want to maximize the potential of this particular ability, is start with your second ability and have the ability strength buff increase, as well as other ability strength buff increases, like, for example, Madurai. So you may want to go Madurai into a second ability with the ability strength buff, then you use her third ability to do the armor stripping, and then you can actually just cycle between different versions of your second ability buffs, and you won't lose effectiveness on your third ability, Armor Strip. I'm not 100% sure if this is the case with every WarFrame ability, so maybe I'm making hay out of nothing, but the point is, this thing snapshots, so keep that in mind, okay? And then, of course, her fourth ability is not actually really a supportive ability, unless you are just trying to get even more Judgment procs by using a gun, but let's be real here. You could just use her grenade from her first ability and you'll be good to go. Instead of fourth ability is, of course, DPS. So yeah, fantastic stuff. Now, with the way that I built Jade before, thinking, oh, okay, well, let me just have more power strength for bigger, better buffs for bigger, better damage. I thought that was the idea, but after watching a Samuchi video, I'm now sort of more convinced of potentially focusing a bit more on range for Jade. She can still get quite a decent amount of power strength anyway, because of the power strength buff, so don't neglect your power strength completely. But having more range might be the way to go, because if you have more range, you have a bigger grenade area of effect. You may also end up with larger explosions, and whilst, yeah, it would be nice to have a bigger damage explosion, perhaps it might be better to have a larger explosion range, and that way you can affect more enemies and they can all hit each other, so that when enemies are relatively clumped up together, you can use Jade to just do a lot of AoE DPS. So that's kind of where I'm leaning with right now. Subject to interpretation, really. It's entirely up to you how you want to build her. Duration is still a good stat on her as well. The only thing that I'm sort of having a bit of trouble with when I'm playing Jade is mainly just keeping her energy up. So yeah, I am going full gung-ho in that regard. Preparation, prime flow, equilibrium, I'm using all of that. And I'm even going so far as to also use Arcane Energize for the time being. I haven't really come across an alternative solution to Arcane Energize yet. I know there's like 500,000 options instead of Arcane Energize. But at the very present moment, at least for Jade, none of them seem to be working as well as I would hope. Mainly because she is, of course, a flying Warframe with an energy drain ability, which means some of those ideas don't exactly check out. So for the time being, I'm just sticking with Arcane Energize and moving on, right? Let me know about all of this in the comments below. How do you feel about Jade? Because she is actually, in my opinion, a very fun Warframe to play. As a general rule, when a Warframe is able to fly around, yeah, she's actually really, really cool. It's weird to me that all the flying Warframes are ladies, actually, now that I think about it. We've got Jade, we've got Hildren, we've got Titania. Do we have... I suppose technically Dante flies, but not really. He hovers. So with the exception of like the hovering Warframes like Wisp and Dante, all the flying Warframes are chicks. How did that happen? Anyway, let me know what all this is in the comments below. Otherwise, hope you guys enjoyed this. If you like this video, hit that like button, subscribe for more Warframe content, and until next time, I will see you guys later. Thanks for watching. Bye.
With Archon Nyla expertly, Tenno. Her kind may expect no mercy, no protection.